All-Star game. Joining us now, one of our favorite people. You know him from NBC Sports and Pro Football Talk. He's our buddy Mike Florio, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up with you, brother. Thanks so much for doing it.
Glenn, what's up, man? How are you?
Everything is good. Look, man, I try to have an adult conversation about this because I don't even like talking about the rankings, the list. We all know Lamar Jackson isn't the 69th best player in football. Like, we know that's the case. The system itself is what it is. Is there any actual thing to be said here about maybe there is a question about Lamar Jackson, how he responds from the injury, how much he's going to run? What is the actual Lamar Jackson question other than is he ultimately going to win a Super Bowl or not?
I think the question is a combination of health, new offense, and the bigger picture relationship between Jackson and the Ravens, given that
his contract
is unsettled beyond 2027. And we all know he's got not only a no trade clause, but a no tag clause. So if he chooses to just put in 34 more regular season games, he becomes a free agent in March of 2028. How much of that trickles into the relationship? So it has nothing to do with where he is on this made-up list that is clearly flawed if Lamar Jackson is number 69.
Yes.
That part of it's just laughable. And the only time I notice all of these various lists during we have nothing else to talk about, so it's list season.
Right.
It's only noticeable when it's so clearly wrong that you look at it and say, well, this is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous to think of that, but maybe it's an indication of there's work to be done. And he may be at a crossroads, especially with a new coaching staff, and as it relates to his relationship with the Ravens, because we are 2 seasons away from Lamar Jackson having what he has never had, a ticket to unrestricted, unfettered, no draft pick compensation free agency.
Mike, it's interesting because you and I have talked about this before. I've tried to have this conversation, but it's bizarre. There's nothing that actually exists that suggests, no matter how many times people want to pontificate about, well, he'd like to play in South Florida, or no matter how many times we do that, there is nothing that actually occurs that suggests that Lamar Jackson wants out. What he actually says, to my understanding privately as well, is there's no reason he wants out of Baltimore. And yet, here we are. And the best I can get from the people that were willing to talk to me about it with the Ravens is you just don't understand how different Lamar is and how he operates and what he doesn't care about the way that we want him to care about it in terms of timing of getting a deal done. But I can't pretend like what you're alluding to doesn't exist. And so for as much as I say I think a lot of this is bunk that gets thrown out there about Lamar, he still doesn't have a deal that goes beyond next year, and so it is relevant.
There's a saying that, and I think I'm getting it right, but I'm wondering if this is the actual quote, nature abhors a vacuum. And if that's true, sports media hates it even worse. So if there's nothing there, if there are no leaks, if there are no reports, and there's no agent working for Lamar Jackson who is talking to the Schefters and the Rappaports of the world, we have nothing tangible to go on. So everyone is left to make semi-educated, at least they think they are from their perspective, guesses, me included, as to where this all stands. And when Steve Bisciotti comes out and makes it crystal clear in January during the press conference regarding the firing of John Harbaugh that they want to get Lamar signed before the start of the league year so they can better manage the cap hit. And it is very simple. It would be very simple to extend his contract and give him an APY, new money APY, that beats not just Dak Prescott, but Patrick Mahomes. They could do it. You add 3 years on to the 2 existing years. He's got $104 million the next 2 years. You take whatever APY he's looking for, you multiply it by 3, you add that onto the back end, it gives you a 5-year deal. Boom, structure it with guarantees similar to 2023. You could do it in 10 minutes. And the fact that it hasn't happened, it makes you wonder why it hasn't happened. And the refusal of either side to say anything about it lets speculation run wild. So I think that's how we get to moments like this.
No, I think you're right. Mike Florio is with us here on GCR. Mike, I wanted to cover some other things with you. I've been trying to make sense of how top-heavy the free agent wide receiver group remains as we get this close to the season, and I acknowledge that these are older guys, and some of them, wouldn't surprise me at all if Keenan Allen is just saying, look, man, call me midway through August. I'm not intending to do training camp. That's the way it goes. But, I look at the Ravens as a team that has a lot of questions. Zay Flowers is a known. Rashad Bateman is kind of like a half a known. Mark Andrews is most of a known, with obviously coming off kind of a disappointing season and some low moments. I look at them as a team that could genuinely use another veteran pass catcher. And when you see Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, and, Keenan Allen sitting out there, I just wonder, why are they all available, and why aren't the Ravens shopping in that market?
I think anytime you've got veteran players on the market who have previously made significant money, you have a combination of factors. One is screw the offseason program.
Yeah.
Two is I'm not taking that. I'm not playing for the minimum. OBJ's on a team because he took the minimum with no guarantees from the New York Giants.
Right.
I'm sure that if teams were willing to pay any of those guys that we're talking about the 1 year minimum with no guarantees, they'd all be signed.
But that's OBJ was completely out of football. That makes a little bit more sense to me. Stephon Diggs, and I get that there's a legal thing that's there, but Stephon Diggs was a 1,000-yard receiver for a Super Bowl team a year ago.
I think there's just a lot of different factors that are going to be unique to each guy. When do I want to show up? How much do I expect to be paid? What team do I want to play for? With Diggs, there are these other issues, but there really aren't. The criminal case, he got an acquittal, and that thing never, ever should have been pursued. They did not have anything close to proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The NFL closed the investigation. There's a couple of civil lawsuits out there that are kind of weird, but I don't see anything there that would create any jeopardy as it relates to his availability in 2026, and all anyone would be thinking about is 2026. So I just think that those factors we discussed are part of it. And then there is the assessment of the player, not where he was last year, but where do we think he'll be this year? What do we think he has left? How does he fit with what we have? Where will he be on the depth chart? It's one of the realities of a guy like OBJ. You slip far enough down the depth chart, you got to play special teams or you're not going to be on the team. And so how confident are we that a guy who's going to come in the door, he's going to have no experience with this team, no experience with this offense, unless he ends up on a team that has run one of the offenses he's run in past years. And when's the right time to do it? And what do we really think he has in the tank? And I just think a lot goes into it. And every once in a while, and I think every year we'll see one or two of these guys where they just never sign with anyone. And the train keeps rolling and we just kind of forget about them. That's the cruelest reality of football. Whoever it is, however big of a star, head coach who's won Super Bowls, once that train starts rolling week one and guys are playing, those are the guys who are the focus of our attention.
No, I know you're right about that. I think it is unique, though, to my opinion about where the Ravens are. This is a team that fired their very successful head coach because he wasn't winning Super Bowls. They can't be looking to reset. And I've just brought up that some of their core is older. And even if we think Lamar has a few years, Mark Andrews and Marlon Humphrey and Ronnie Stanley, that group, that core group is older. I think you fired your coach to win a Super Bowl. It is just kind of wild to me that they would go into a season with so many unknowns in the pass-catching department and a first-time play caller in Declan Doyle running the offense.
And even if you do sign a guy the first day of training camp, you haven't had the benefit of the offseason program to get him up to speed into the offense, unless you find somebody that's got experience in it, like Keenan Allen from his time. No, wait, was he in Chicago last year?
It was the year. So, he didn't. I trust him. We did that math, Mike. He did not line up with Declan Doyle.
No, he was in Chicago. He was in Chicago the year before. So, that's the problem with the league having so much turnover.
No doubt. No doubt.
You got to You got to go to Google to refresh your memory on when guys played where.
Mike's just trying to do an interview, and he's pulling up his phone, trying to make sure he's got the Wikipedia page of someone. I understand that feeling. Mike, I'm in a kind of where are we with Brandon Ayuk? Is he just not going to play in the NFL ever again?
Well, if he means when he says he's not going to be reinstating, that was his quote, I won't be reinstating with the 49ers, that tells me he knows that what he needs to do is file a petition for reinstatement to the league office to get back onto the roster of the 49ers. He's currently on what they call the reserve left squad list because he left the squad last year. And when a guy does that, if he doesn't come back after you send him a letter giving him 5 days to return, you shut him down and he's done for the season. He can't play for anyone. And then he has to be reinstated to the active roster by petitioning the league. Assuming that the league would even do that, and I don't have any reason to think it wouldn't be automatic, but hey, silly me, I thought Brendan Sorsby into the supplemental draft was automatic too. But assuming the league would reinstate Brandon Ayuk, he'd have to show up for training camp and say, I'm here and I'm ready to work. And that's the moment they'd cut him. Because if he drops a dumbbell on his foot in the weight room and he gets a season-ending injury, they owe him $26 million. So he's got an easy recipe to get out of San Francisco. But if he says, I'm not doing it, there's nothing for anyone to do unless the 49ers would decide on their own, let's just be done with this. Let's release him from the reserve left squad list. That's his only way out. They have no reason to do it. And why would they want to do it if he's going to go to Washington and have 1,000 yards and make them look bad?
And they don't get anything.
Nothing in return.
So they would rather him just sort of toil away, and it's your problem, bro. Like if you don't want to play ball, this is your issue.
Yeah, it just kind of dies on the vine, and we get to week one, and the world moves on without it.
What are the biggest to you as we get to the start of training camp? Like, what are the storylines that really stand out to you that we need to get answers to before the season begins, Mike?
Well, somebody asked me that the other day, and there really isn't one. There is so many. It's like team by team, you've got questions with all that coaching turnover and so many of the AFC contenders with new coaches, Ravens, Steelers, Bills. I don't know what's going to happen. Patrick Mahomes, where's he going to be? I'm sure that's going to be one of the bigger topics because this is one of the great all-time players who will he be back to his old self? And I think he will be. What will the Chiefs be? Will the Broncos be able to build on what they did last year? They have continuity with their defensive coordinator and so many other players. And I just think that the whole league, despite the fact that we're ready to have the rings made for the LA Rams, I think the whole league at the top is wide open. And every year I go into the season with a cluster of teams that I know will compete, a cluster of teams that I know won't, and then there's that middle. And I think that middle can be very big, and I think this year it is very big. We don't know which way these teams are going to break, but the beauty of week-by-week competition, 17 games per team, barring a tie, there's a winner and a loser for every game. There's going to be good teams, there's going to be bad teams, and it all plays out 1 week, 1 game at a time. And we'll find out which way those teams are going to be break. But in my mind, the Ravens fall into that category.
Sure.
We don't know what they're going to be.
Right.
How can you feel with any confidence what the Ravens are going to be with a new coaching staff?
Yep.
We won't know until they start playing. If I had to guess, I'd say they're likely to be good. It helps that they're in an AFC North that has 3 new head coaches, but we just don't know, and we won't know.
When you bring that up about the Rams, is that to you like, everybody's crowning them, but this is the NFL. You can't crown anyone because crazy things can happen. Guys get hurt. Or do you have like actual questions about the structure of the Rams?
No, I think that this comes down to, especially if Aaron Donald comes out of retirement, and they are milking the hell out of that.
No
thing.
doubt.
And I frankly think part of it is the dramatic and the cinematic flair that arises from the proximity to Hollywood, that they're playing it this way. But the bar is going to be as high for them as it's been for any team in recent years. And at some level, if I'm the Rams, now they've welcomed it by trading for Myles Garrett and potentially luring Aaron Donald out of retirement, but it would be irritating because why are we the ones with the target? We didn't win the Super Bowl. We didn't go to the Super Bowl. But pick on the Seahawks because it's a no-win proposition. When you're the team to beat and everyone's going to give their A-plus effort every single week, and anything you do less than get to the Super Bowl and win it is going to be viewed as a failure. That happened to the Bills a couple of years ago. And I remember thinking, and I'm the Bills, I'm going to be pissed off here. Like, why we haven't been to the Super Bowl since 1993. Why are you putting that on us? There's nothing to be gained, and it just makes it harder for the coach to motivate the players week in and week out because you're always going to be getting the best from the opponent. You got guys that may believe what they're reading, and you start piling up losses early on. That's one of the things that I love about September and October football. You lose a few too many games, you got no margin for error when we get down the stretch past Thanksgiving and toward the holidays.
Happened to the Ravens last year. It's exactly the way that it went. We know all about it. Mike, what are we plugging book-wise?
Well, Big Shield is still the most recent one that I have out there that is a cautionary tale about the potential ways that things can go haywire for professional athletes and those connected to the sport in an age of not just legalized but normalized gambling.
Yeah.
Portions of it set in Baltimore, by the way, but not with the Ravens, with a fictional professional football franchise that is not the Ravens.
Definitely
they may
not.
still wear black helmets and purple jerseys, but they are not the Ravens.
You can find that actually right now at ProFootballTalk.com. If you just scroll down, there's a link for it right there, as well as Son of Mine, another great book from Mike Florio. Always
Glenn, so much of the stuff, like little things that I envisioned a year ago when it came out and when I was writing it 2-3 years ago. I mean, that stuff's all happened.
Yep, we are in the throes of it, 100% in the throes of it. There's no doubt about it. Always appreciate you, brother. Let's talk again soon. Have a great rest of your summer. Thanks for hopping on, man.
See you.
Mike Florio with us here on GCR from Pro Football Talk.